Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to welcome you to our June 21st meeting of the Keep Pharr Beautiful Advisory Committee. We're going to start off with calling the meeting to order. Roll call, please.
Mari Caballero,
Here.
Richard Carranza,
Present.
Romeo Robles Jr.,
Here.
Frank Santana,
Here.
Olivia Ramirez.
We're going to proceed forward, ladies and gentlemen, with our invocation, which is item 1B. Let us silence our minds and open up our hearts to pray, please. Father God, creator of all, we praise and thank you for the warmth of the sun and increased daylight. Thank you for the beauty we see all around us and the opportunity to be outside and enjoy your creation. Thank you for the increased time we have to be with our family and friends, and for the more casual pace we have this summer season. Draw us closer to you this summer. Teach us how to pray, no matter where we are or what we are doing. Warm our souls with the awareness of your presence and light our path with your word and counsel. As we enjoy your creation, create in us a pure heart and a hunger and thirst for you, O Lord. In your name we pray. Amen. Ladies and gentlemen, we move on to administrative item 2A, the approval of minutes for the April 19th, 2022, the regularly scheduled meeting. I'll give you a moment to just glance at the minutes which we've had delivered to us since Friday. And then I'll take a motion on the floor for approval of the minutes.
Under item 1A, there is just a word missing in the second paragraph where it says Board Romeo Robles Jr. Should be board member. Because when I read it, I said, I was there. So it should be board member.
Okay, board
Romeo Robles
member.
Jr.
Mhm. Anyone else have any additions or changes?
I think that's all I saw.
Okay. All right, so then what we need is a motion on the floor to accept the minutes, but with the change, right?
Yes.
So I need a motion on the floor from someone.
Madam Chairman, I move that we approve the minutes as corrected.
Okay, we've got a motion by Mr. Robles. Anyone want a second? Ms. Olivia Ramirez seconds the motion. All those in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Okay, and being that there's no opposition, the motion passes. Okey-doke. We move on to item 2B, discussion and action, if any, on Keep Pharr Beautiful 2022 projects. So what I'd like to bring to the table again today is next Tuesday and Wednesday is the Keep Texas Beautiful Conference. And we're working on sending representation to Austin for the 2-day conference. Again, I'm going to leave it to Miss Crystal Medina when she comes back next month to highlight she did receive the detailed grading of our grant. And I'm going to tell you, ladies and gentlemen, that it was closer than it's ever been. And we were both like she actually had to call Austin to clarify and make sure she wasn't reading it. She was reading it correctly. So without giving you any more information, I want her to give you the insight into the application, the grading, because she's got all the detailed information, but we were closer than ever. So like I've said to you in the past, it's like we just need that little extra to get us over to that winning level. And so in talking about that, we do have our 4th of July, City of Pharr 4th of July event coming up, and it's Saturday, July 2nd. What I will do is maybe have, when it comes to Parks and Rec, they can give us a little bit more information on the detail of the event. But what I would like to share with you is Crystal and I have met, and we're still looking at trying to secure our plastics, our water bottles for that event somehow, corral them into their recyclable containers, the blue ones, which we have in Public Works, with the aid of volunteers or staff, part-time staff. And also we're trying to collect our cardboard from the vendors. And we're still trying to organize that. I know that Wednesdays, there is a meeting, a standing meeting at 3 p.m. here with the committee that's involved in putting that event together. And hopefully we'll be able to meet with them tomorrow, Wednesday, and share with them again our idea on trying to secure the paper, the cardboard that the vendors throw away.
Yes.
And what we want to do is somehow secure them with a particular trailer or particular bin, and have volunteers know that that's a dedicated bin for cardboard. And of course, the plastics will be in their blue bins. And at the end of the day, ladies and gentlemen, it's all about pounds. It's all about weight. It's all about accountability for these grants, right? It's all about how many people helped, how many people were touched, how many pounds did you keep from the landfill, et cetera, et cetera. So we're working on it. At the same time, we do know when we were filling out that application and working on that application that we were a little short with our composting. So again, we're going to take Mr. Carranza's beautiful flyer that he put together for us in English and Spanish, and hopefully have and create again, whether it is a table or the opportunity to disseminate that. It all begins with education. We don't have a garden right now, or a community garden or a city park where we say this is the compost area for the city of Pharr, like McAllen, right? So it all begins with education. And as we see, and I had a long conversation with Crystal on recycling. They're still having a lot of issues with the infiltration of, people are recycling, but they're not cleaning they're not rinsing they're not cleaning out their items. So what happens? You start getting bacteria, you start getting contamination. So these things become not able to be recycled. So it all begins, I think it's very important for us to do the remediation, the entry-level education, where we create and we get everyone on that page to understand that, yes, simply recycling is let's rinse it out, let's let it air out, let's let it dry out, and then we take it in, right? The composting, the same thing. We could just show examples of what we can compost. We can show a very simple example of a compost bin, And that's where we begin. And I believe that's where what we decided to begin with as a group early on.
And I do envision having some sort of workshops.
Yes.
Where we can, on certain Saturdays or whatever, just show them you can do this at home instead of throwing the eggshells over here and sending them to the landfill. Use them, and then you can use them in your own
Yeah.
gardens. So it is very, very doable.
I don't know if you remember, Mr. Carranza, but before COVID, we used to do, and I was happy to see that Public Works did they targeted a trash bash over in Jones Box this past Saturday. Or they're going to have one. I'm kind of confused with the time right now but anyway, what's been happening since COVID is everything has been done at Public Works on 495. And in the past, the city would be broken down into quadrants. And 1 month it's South Pharr, another month it's in the middle of Pharr, another month it's North Pharr. And what happens is you take the info to the neighborhood, so to speak. You take the because what happens is Public Works takes their mobile recycling. Public Works gets Waste Management to take their big, those big bins, those big, I forgot what you call, roll-offs, right? And then there's trailers that'll take metal, and there's trailers that'll take the refrigerators and then there's the big trailer that'll take tires, and it's kind of like a drive-through. But you take it to the community, and then code does, like, they work the community and they let them know, hey, this Saturday we'll be here, we'll be doing this. And then on top of that, there's an organized effort of volunteers that go out there and actually do public road cleaning. And they're protected by, they're guarded and protected. They're wearing vests. They've got special, equipment to pick up the trash. And the trolley goes out there and takes them, and they bring them, and they get drinks. And so I foresee, and I'm hoping that we will get back to that, where we take it back out to the community. And then in doing so, we take out the composting education. We take out the recycling education out to them as well. And we're able to produce that for them. Because we would get when we did one particular event we planted over in South Pharr at Jones Box. We did a planting. We had people from the community, we had kids, we had, we had an urban ecologist from Santana that lived in the area that came over and helped. And so it was educational, informative, and fun. So I'm hoping, again, that we can get back to that point. There is nothing stopping us anymore. There is nothing stopping us. We just need the help. We need manpower, and we need help. Yeah. So that's what I've got to talk about for section 2B. Is there anyone else that wants to mention anything?
Yeah, I've
Yes,
just
sir.
got a question. So in the effort to keep Pharr beautiful, we talk about these events where it facilitates our citizens, with a place to go dump stuff that they don't want, as opposed to trying to find alternative sites to do that perhaps may be legal. I had told somebody about the site at Mako, and then they called and told me that there's a charge for that. And I said, not to my knowledge, but let me follow up.
Yeah.
So does anybody know from
Okay,
Public
so,
Works?
Actually, and I was even informed that when I met with Crystal about a week and a half ago, Crystal Medina, what they're going to do, what they want to do is close they've closed the recycling up front, which is on 495 proper.
Mhm.
And they want you to bring it in. And if you also have trash, you can bring it in. because this way they're able to do more education with the individual on their recycling, because they're getting a lot of contamination. They're seeing a lot of contamination. But I was not aware of any charge for,
Yeah, all they
For
wanted to do was
dumping.
get rid of a twin mattress.
no,
That's
no,
what
no,
just taking
okay.
you know.
So I know that at the monthly trash bashes that were being held, there was no charge. You could pull up with trailers of construction material, files. I mean, I've seen metal. I've seen bar stools, barber shop stools. I've seen from trash to metal to tires to I've seen everything, and I don't.
And see, that was my impression. I mean, it's
Yeah,
a lot.
there shouldn't be a charge.
Yeah, it's a lot cheaper for the city to have somebody take it
Oh
and
yeah,
put it in those
oh yeah. Than
roll-offs.
to have it dumped.
But
you know.
I didn't know maybe what the rule was, or if there's certain days they charge, or if they charge for certain items. I don't know.
What I will do is I will call and get that info, and make sure that when we have our next meeting, we make that announcement.
And
Okay.
perhaps, that might be one of the things that we can use our fundraising money for, is to kind of provide a grant, up to a certain amount that the city can take stuff from citizens,
Like
if-
when they show up with more than 4 tires or whatever the minimum tire, because sometimes
Right.
there's a minimum.
Yeah, this was just one,
Yeah,
Twin
one
mattress.
mattress.
and they paid for it. They said, I didn't want it sitting around, so,
Okay,
They
I'm
paid for it.
I'm glad you mentioned this. So
and they don't take cash.
they don't take
No,
cash.
and I can understand why, but they don't take cash.
Okay. All right. Let me look into this, and I will follow up with you at the
Okay.
next meeting, and that way everyone is on the same page. All right. Any other thoughts, ideas? All right. Will everyone be available on July 2nd? It's a Saturday, and I think later, again, Parks and Rec will give us more information on the time. Just think about it. All right, so if there's nothing else to talk about on 2B, we're going to go on to item 2C. And we've got a couple of people to introduce today. We're going to begin with introducing our new urban ecologist with Parks and Recreation, Miss Hannah Marble.
Hi, good evening. My name is Hannah Marble, and I am, as Ms. Caballero said, the new urban ecologist for the city of Pharr. For my entire career working full-time, I've been in some sort of environmental education in some capacity. It started at the McAllen Nature Center, moved to Brownsville with Camp Rio, formerly Camp Lula Sam's, where I was an environmental educator. Did a lot of recreational education as well, so the really cool stuff like canoeing and archery. So it's a pretty diverse background that I've got. And from Brownsville, I went to Edinburgh and worked as their garden nursery coordinator, and I've moved here to Pharr. So I'm super excited to be here. I love that this job title kind of encompasses everything that I've done in the past, and I'm hoping to put my best foot forward here with Pharr. So thank you.
We welcome you.
Oh, yes.
What did you do in Edinburgh, please?
In Edinburgh, I was their garden nursery coordinator at the Edinburgh Scenic Wetlands and World Birding Center. So I managed their native plant nursery and community garden.
He's our master gardener.
Oh, nice. I'm a master
That's why I
gardener
was like-
too. Yeah, awesome. Good to know. Anything else?
Yes, welcome. And Miss Hannah will come back in a bit to share with us her project, what's going on with Parks and Recreation.
Of course. All right. Thank you.
Miss Hannah.
Mhm.
Thank you. And secondly, I'd like to welcome and introduce to you Ms. Kimberly Mendoza. She is the new Director of Code Enforcement.
Good evening. Thank you very much, Commission members of this board. Keep Pharr beautiful. I'm so sorry. It's a pleasure meeting everybody. I'm the Director of Code Compliance, I come to the city of Pharr. I'm a resident of Pharr, very proud to be a citizen and resident here in our great city. I do have nearly 25 years of experience in local government. Prior to my coming here to the city of Pharr, I was a director of planning and zoning with the city of Edinburgh for a couple of years. Joined them in 2020, and we had COVID damage assessment with Hurricane Hannah, and worked through 4 different projects all at the same time. And under my leadership, very proud to say that those were all executed successfully. And I'm happy to be here in Pharr. And prior to working in the city of Edinburgh, I did work for the city of McAllen over 20 years in the planning department. And started as a planner 1 entry level, worked all the way up to a senior planner with the city of McAllen. Yes, and I'm happy to be here. I'm very excited again. I'm a resident of our community. I'm looking forward to working with everyone, collaborating with everybody, and serving our residents of Pharr.
Thank you.
Thank you.
so much. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you. I realize that Miss Hannah Marble and Miss Kimberly Mendoza, when we're kind of talking in our lingo, and in the sense that we're talking about this grant, and you're like probably not quite sure what we're talking about. So just a little bit of info. Being Keep Our Beautiful, we're part of Keep Texas Beautiful, and KTB offers us the opportunity to participate and compete for a grant. It's a grant that is sponsored by TxDOT, and it is based on your population of your city. So there's about 8 different categories, and there's several different pillars, things that you have to meet. And I'm real proud to say that this year we're like extremely close. We continue to remain very compliant and being awarded excellence in what we're doing. But we'd love to somehow, sometime, some year, real soon, be granted the wonderful be bestowed the winner of the grant, and it's over $200,000, and it's to beautify our public spaces through the help of TxDOT and their architects, landscape architects and whatnot, and they give us a period of 2 years to do it. So that's what we're talking about. I'm sorry. But everyone else has heard the conversation, and I realize that being new in your first time to this committee meeting, that you were probably going, what are they talking about? So yeah. It's the Governor's Community Achievement Award, sponsored by TxDOT through the Keep Texas Beautiful umbrella. So we're really, we're striving, just kind of like the city just recently won the Governor's Award from Quality Texas Foundation. This is something that we're trying to achieve, and it's not just the committee. It takes the whole team. It takes Team Pharr, and Crystal is our lead. Crystal Medina with Public Works. She's very familiar. She's our affiliate representative with Keep Texas Beautiful. And she basically coordinates the effort with all the departments, because there's information from the different departments that we need in order to fill out the grant, because, things change year to year. And then the programming, she works closely with Parks and Recreation to get their numbers, and of course, Public Works, their numbers having to do with recycling, reducing, reusing, and things that they do. It's the whole Team Pharr. It's many, many different departments. So you may hear about it in the future. So I know she worked very closely with our previous urban ecologist, Lily. And so everything, it's about documenting and keeping numbers and taking pictures of projects and events. So that way, just like any grant, a certain amount of words, certain amount of pictures, tells a story, put it in a pretty package and all that good stuff. So that's what we're talking about, ladies. And it basically is like currently 2022, the application will be released in January of 2023. We get about 6 weeks, 5 to 6 weeks to turn it around. There's a deadline to get submitted. And then by March or so, the latter part of March, we get an idea, we find out. Like next week at the Keep Texas Beautiful at the annual convention, the ones that win get to go up there and accept their plaque. But we knew by probably the beginning of April. Yeah. Yes, sir.
I just want to add that we as a committee realize that we can't do it by ourselves. We definitely depend on the city staff to do a lot of the legwork. But we're always here to encourage and thank the staff members, the city staff members, for everything that they do to help us become, continue with the principle of keeping Pharr beautiful. And so we appreciate everything that the city staff and the city departments do for us.
And I just would say that, code enforcement works with Public Works, and in an effort to beautify our city, I know that some of that can be taken off your plate if we look at the main goal of beautifying our city by providing more opportunities for citizens to recycle and get rid of debris and those kinds of things, so that you all can concentrate, on the restaurants and all the other things that you have to do. So, it is a team effort, and the more we can help each other, then I think the better it is.
Anyone else? Okay. All right. Well, then we move on. There being there's nothing else for item 2C on our agenda, we move on to item 2D, announcements from, we're going to call back Development Services. I'm not sure if Roy.
Good evening, Board. For the record, my name is Roy Rodriguez, Assistant Director for Development Services. So for the month of May, it was very busy for code enforcement. We're back to doing our monthly block parties. So we had our block party to educate our residents, and several departments participated. Public Works was there to educate also on recycling and exactly what you all are mentioning right now. We had it at 215 East Universal. It's in the south side off of Thomas Road. We used the Pharr Housing Rec Center, and we had a very good turnout. We also gave some hot dogs, provided a lot of literature. Along with that, we also had that same weekend, we had our monthly dumpster that we provide for the residents. And to answer some of y'all's questions, when we provide the monthly dumpster, you're able to dispose of anything with the exception of anything that might be hazardous. Oils, gasoline, stuff like that is not allowed in the dumpster that we provide. We also provide a utility trailer where any resident can take their used tires or tires that they have at home, and they can dispose of them there. There's practically no limit. We do put our Skycam there at location just to monitor it and make sure that it is our residents and not a commercial location that's disposing of the actual tires. So we did that for the month of May, sorry. And we also did 3 of our elderly assistant mowing lawns that we do every month. So we went out to 3 of our residents, and we staff went out there and helped with the cleaning or mowing of the actual property, which was another great success. And we also went out to, I believe it was a little bit of over 80 residents that participated and qualified for the for our plaque. And that's,
yes.
so this idea came about from our first responders, EMS, PD, and fire. They wanted to come up with something for our residents. They weren't able to have the means to place their address placards out there. So the city went ahead and pilot this program, and it's something now that's going to be happening. So if residents want to take advantage of that, there is some requirements. You have to be over the age of 55. Is one of them. And you could reach our office at 956-402-4210, and we can provide you some of the other requirements. If you want to purchase it, you can also reach our office. I believe it's going for between $7 and $8, and that's just covering the actual cost to make the actual placards. And that's something that our residents can also take advantage of. Just reach out to us. Another thing that we did for the month of May is that we are taking an aggressive approach with different departments, Public Works, FAR PD, the Fire Marshal's office, and of course our department code compliance. We are tackling an illegal dumping. So we had our first podcast with FAR PD, and our emphasis on that particular podcast was educating our residents how they can help combat illegal dumping. It's not just a city problem; it's a community problem that we all need to come together and help one another. So we're asking that if you see anything suspicious, anybody disposing of trash, it is a punishable offense to reach out to FAR PD, report it. You could even be lucky enough to get a reward if it leads to some type of conviction from my understanding from RPD. So we asked the community to help with that. We also asked them to reach out to Waste Management or call our office and see if where you're disposing of your actual brush is the actual proper location where Waste Management is going to go out there and pick up the debris. Um, I know that a lot of residents tend to want to dispose of their debris maybe in the alley, and the um, the equipment that Waste Management has, it's too large. Their actual vehicles are way too big to fit into our alley. So if you dispose of that in the alley, there's no way that Waste Management will be able to pick up that. So if you have any questions, reach out to us. Waste Management prefers that you dispose of your debris in front of your actual property, in the actual right of way, not on the street. And that's how they normally would prefer for this debris to be placed. Now, we understand also that residents tend to park on the street, and that could also create a problem. So check with us, call Waste Management, so we can give you the week that they're going to be out there in your particular residential area, so maybe not to park your vehicle on the street, so your debris could get picked up on that day.
Could you repeat again the number
Sure,
to your
it's
office?
956-402-4210.
4210.
Yes. Now you might even see, because we're doing it on a daily basis. We are flying our city drone over different locations where we know that illegal dumping is taking place. So you might see the city drone flying over those locations. The city of Pharr has also purchased several cameras to install on utility poles, um, to see if we can deter the illegal dumping from actually happening. Public Works is also assisting us by placing illegal dumping signs in our areas that we have identified that are problematic throughout the city. FAR PD is also doing night patrols in the areas where we have identified that are actual illegal dumping sites. So we encourage our community to get involved, help us, and together we can, make a difference. That's all I have. Any questions?
I have, okay, so your monthly block party,
Mm-hmm.
was that in conjunction with when you leave the roll-off at the neighborhood for the weekend?
So normally what we try to do is residents reach out to our department,
Mhm.
and they either request to have a block party, or they're requesting assistance to place a dumpster. So what we do is we normally would prefer that we have our block party in that particular residential area, and then the following weekend or that weekend, we actually place the actual dumpster out
So
there.
you would have the party like on a Thursday or Wednesday night?
Yes,
And then
so-
that weekend?
So our block parties are on Thursday. That's
Okay.
when we have identified that most of the departments are available to assist us with our block party. So we have them on Thursday. Anybody wants to have a block party, call us, and we'll gladly arrange something, and we'll get all the departments out there, and we'll provide you all the information that we have, and also for the roll-off dumpster.
So then the week, okay, I'm just trying to get
No
squared
problem.
away here. The weekend that you have where waste management comes and drops off the roll-off
Mhm.
on a Friday, and then they pick it up on Monday, and Public Works drops off their recycle trailer little thing.
Yes.
Is that happening that weekend?
Definitely. So what happens is, and is that waste management goes out there and drops off their roll off on Friday evening, and that same Friday, our Public Works goes out and puts out their recycling bin and also their utility trailer, so the tires can be disposed. Now we monitor it with the camera, and we also have code enforcement working that particular weekend. And we monitor it, and if we need to go out there as far as a city, Public Works goes out there and compacts the actual dumpster, or they'll go and take that utility trailer and bring another one. So there'll always be availability for you to dispose of your debris.
And that is typically
That is
the
typically between
second-
the second or third week of the month. It just depends. Sometimes, there's weeks that weekdays that have 3 or 5 days.
And then the elderly assistant mowing is happening the last weekend?
No,
or-
that's our first week.
First weekend of the
Of the
month.
month. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and I know that the trash bash is the fourth weekend.
Yes, ma'am. The
Okay.
OCS.
See,
So there's always somewhere where you can
something's
dispose
going on.
of your debris. Now, as far as the tires at Public Works, I know that there's a limit. I don't know if it's 3 or 4. After that amount, then they actually have to charge you. I think it's like $1 or $2. So, any questions?
Does
Yes.
anybody have any
I
questions?
have a question.
Yes, sir.
The citizens from South Park, they're asking like sometimes they feel that they're not treated well because yesterday I got a lady from over there.
Mhm.
I bought some fences and she told me that she wanted on the back of her street.
Mhm.
She has like a off or like blacktop,
Okay.
and she said she already had it there and it's breaking, but does she has to get a permit or she can just it's already there, she can just do it like recarpet it again? Because she was saying no, because I don't want to do it because then the city of Pharr is gonna come. It's already set up, it's
Uh-huh.
already gone through, so she has to have a permit or she can do it.
Well, there's different scenarios there, sir, when it comes down to that, because of the grandfather clause. We would have to look and see when the actual asphalt was actually placed. There is certain requirements in certain subdivisions that might not allow that. But for the most part, if they come to us, we'll sit down with them. We'll try to come up with some type of solution to that dilemma. But yes, a permit is required.
Before it's already there.
Yes,
Because it's on Thomas. Thomas already has on that side. They already when they did the street again,
Mhm.
the same company recarpet all the sites from over there,
Mhm.
and there's a site from over here, and they did it for them too. The company when they do it.
Mhm.
So I don't know why
Definitely.
do they have to have a permit because they already it's already was done by a company
Well,
hired from the city of Pharr.
usually when a company does that, they only do the actual right of way, but any work that's done inside the actual residential home area, that does require an actual permit. But like I said, we can definitely go out and we can send one of our inspectors and visit with them. And if it's something that doesn't need a permit, then it's something that we wouldn't ask for. But if it's something that requires a permit, we would ask.
Okay, I'll let them know.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Any other questions for Mr. Rodriguez?
Thank you.
Thank you so much,
No
sir.
comment.
Thank you. All right, we move on to Parks and Recreation.
Alrighty, welcome back, me. Hi.
Welcome.
So I did have a few slides that I prepared for our Parks and Recreation Board meeting that I thought I would go over with you guys this week because it kind of covers what I've been doing in Parks and Rec in my first month and a half here. So there's been a handful of things, and I'd like to start with a busy week that I had in May. So right when I started, someone reached out from Vanguard Picasso Academy, sorry. And he had organized a nature night, Picasso Nature Night on May 20th. And it was a Friday, and he invited all kinds of nature-based organizations like Texas Parks and Wildlife, Texas Children in Nature, Border Patrol brought out a horse to, talk about what they do. And if you see the photo up top, that is actually a presentation by Fragile Planet. They're an organization based out of Los Fresnos. They bring exotic animals to educate the public, sort of like Animal Contacto, if you've ever seen that organization at different nature sites and stuff. So that was something that had occurred that last weekend of May, and he has interest in making it a yearly event, so this could become a larger event. And this did take place at the Pharr Vanguard Nature and Birding Center. So it was really exciting. We saw about a little over 200 people over the 2-hour event. Super cool. And very, very engaging. And the next thing that occurred the following day was actually a movie night. But there is a sort of nice big branded proclamation that you can kind of establish called Kids to Parks. It was set forth by the National Park Trust in an effort to encourage more kids to get outside, as the name implies. So we sort of tacked that onto the movie night, and we included things like yard games, cornhole. In the photo you see below, that's a game called Backyard Bass, which we borrowed from Texas Parks and Wildlife, where kids can kind of get a hang of how to cast a fishing pole and stuff. So just a way to make that movie night a little bit more engaging. We brought more park staff out to encourage kids to do things outside. Movie night's fun, but you can also do things like move around a little bit. And we did also have popcorn and kites, and it was really cool. We saw tons of people. I don't know how many people I saw, but it was quite a few. So that was May for me, in addition to a couple of other things that I'll cover in a little bit. So yeah, and any questions about these two events that occurred?
Sounds like fun.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. And both of these events were completely free.
I'm intrigued by the fact that I didn't know what cornhole was until my kids were on the East Coast going to school.
Mhm.
So I'm glad that our kids are learning
Yeah,
what cornhole
we're
is.
exploring some cool games, some cool
Yeah.
yard games and stuff. I know it's one of those things I didn't know the name of, but I definitely played it as a kid. So yeah, with like makeshift cornhole boards and stuff like that. Super fun.
Very cool.
So moving forward to some upcoming programs that I have, I kind of put together a Park After Dark event, and it's super fun. If you've ever been to a night hike, all nature centers up and down the valley do night hikes because summer is the best time to do them because it is too hot during the day to do much else. So I tried to make this as inclusive of the variety of things that you can do in a night hike as possible. We did have our first one this past Saturday, June 18th. I had 41 people show up, which was super exciting. It's completely free. The only thing that I do ask is that you stop by our Civic Center here in Pharr to pick up tickets because these events attract a lot of people, and I don't want to handle more than I can take on. I want to make sure that everyone gets a chance to have a flashlight or see something cool under the UV light that we're going to have. And in addition to that, we do have these bat sonar readers. So if you guys don't know, bats do communicate via echolocation, and we can't hear their communication. So those sonar readers pick up what those bats sound like, and we did hear some this past Saturday, which is super cool. In addition to that, I don't have this on here, but we do have a mothing setup. And it's one of those things that I will admit is very, very nerdy, but it's really fun, especially for those younger kids. We basically set up a white bed sheet, super inexpensive, and a UV LED light. And what that does is over a couple of hours, it attracts tons of moths, beetles, and all kinds of critters. And we saw some pretty cool moths. The June bugs are out, so we did see a lot of those guys. But near the end of our hike, we'll get a chance to kind of check out that mothing sheet. So that's
mothing.
mothing, yeah. So if you
Mothing
moth
sheet.
ing. Mhm. Yeah, it's a
Mothing
nice
sheet.
mothing setup, and it's really. I also kind of went over with the crowd of people that I had. It's very inexpensive. It's under $30 if you want to be fancy. You can definitely go cheaper. It's super fun and really cool to do at home. Just for anyone curious or interested, we do have 3 more dates coming up in a couple weeks, July 8th and the 22nd. Both of those are going to be on Fridays. And then August 13th, if you want to do something before school starts, that is a Saturday. So you'll get the opportunity to come out. Tickets for July 8th are going pretty quick. There are 60 tickets for each night. So just so y'all know. Oops, sorry. So if you're interested, and we are limiting 5 tickets per family just to give more people the opportunity to come out. So
Very cool.
those are our night hikes. Yeah. Awesome. Alrighty. So something that I'm personally very excited about and have been dedicating a lot of time towards is the National Wildlife Federation has a lot of money that is being put towards habitat restoration all over Texas. And they've been reaching out to lots of cities in the RGV to restore habitat, native habitat, because a lot of our natural habitat has been kind of removed for the practice of agriculture, canals, things like that. They had approached the previous urban ecologist, and she proposed 7 sites to restore a little over 20 acres. After some consideration, we are going to restore 5 sites, and that's going to be about 15.5 acres. And I have listed below the 5 sites that we're planning on restoring. The first one being Dr. William Long City School Park, and that one's going to be a bit of an expansion of the native habitat that's already, the garden that's already there at the school, right next to it. So that'll be kind of an easier one. We are also going to work on Allen and William Arnold City School Park, which is another park right next to another school. There's a restroom facility that we plan on adding pollinator garden to. The DRC, or Development and Research Center, is one of our bigger sites. They do sit on quite a bit of property. I think about 1.5 acres there. We're planning on making into pollinator gardens. And something really cool and exciting about that place is it has 2 retention ponds, which lends itself to a wetland habitat, which we don't see a lot of here. We used to have a lot more wetland, and so we get the opportunity to display wetland plants and habitat and things like that. The 4th site is going to be the Pharr Vanguard Academy Nature and Birding Center, mouthful of a title. In the effort to create facility and a parking lot, we did take down a lot of that native habitat, so we're going to restore it. That's about 2.5 acres there. And lastly, we do have an unnamed nature park located near on Hall Acres. We are finalizing the purchase of one portion of that property, but that's going to be our largest site and the longest project. We're planning on restoring about 11 acres. Based on GIS data, we kind of determined that there's a lot of open area that we could definitely put some native habitat back into. So the current timeline is August through March 2022, for the first 4 sites because we have those established. We know exactly where things are going to be. And then as it comes to the final site, the largest site, we'll need a little bit more time for planning, getting quotes, plants. When we're ordering thousands of plants from native nurseries, we need to make sure that they have time to grow them for us, right? So it'll be a really cool opportunity. But fall is usually the best time to kind of plant and start these sorts of projects. Now, in my head, I have a vision to engage the community in volunteer planting days. If you see in the corner, I put a photo of Rio Reforestation. I don't know if anyone here has ever been to a Rio Reforestation. Awesome, I'm glad. So it's a big event set up by the U.S. Fish and Wildlife. It is wonderfully organized, and they do 20 acres each year. They plan this thing for months, if not years in advance. And so they basically set aside a tract of land. It's usually in an area northeast of Edinburgh near Hargill. And they till, they prep the soil, everything in advance. You can see they're kind of working down these lines. Volunteer groups or organizations come, they get a crate of plants, and they say, all right, go down this line, everything's ready for you to plant. So that's definitely a larger scale, but something organized like that would really lend itself to the opportunity to educate our public about native pollinator plants, gardening, and why what we're doing is important, why my job is important, and why this is meaningful to have here in the RGV. Something else that I do want to mention is one of the native plant nurseries that I'm working with, one of the owners is actually a Pharr native, so he's super excited to be on board and to kind of educate alongside myself when we do have these volunteer planting days. So a big project. I know 15.5 acres doesn't always sound sensational or big, like 200 plus acres. But we want to get it right the first time so that way we can continue sort of receiving grants like this one in the future and show these organizations that we're worth it and that we know what we're doing here.
Yeah, let me recommend that you
Of course.
reach out to the local FFA chapters. I am a retired ag teacher, and we did Rio Reforestation
Nice.
for a number of years. But if you want to get them under your belt, you reach out to them, and at least the teachers there. We may not have it. I was trying to look at the picture closely, see if I could recognize anybody there.
Maybe.
But the students that maybe have the experience have graduated, but the ag teachers, they've got the experience, and they're willing to participate in this kind of stuff through their wildlife and natural resources classes. So it's a good deal.
Yeah, certainly. No, I'd love to. I intend on reaching out to PSGA high school specifically because high schoolers got so much energy. UTRGV, DHR, Ticketmaster also does like volunteering with their staff. So yeah, thank you for
Yeah,
bringing that up.
Southwest High
You've got
School.
Southwest
Southwest High
in
School.
Pharr,
Mhm.
and you also have PSJ North in
North
Pharr.
and Pharr. They're usually Pharr students
Yeah.
Oh, awesome.
that go to those schools.
Cool.
Typically.
Memorial and Alamo, and of course PSJ High in San Juan.
Yeah.
They'll all participate in it. So
And then Liberty Middle School, I'm not sure if they still do, but they had a group that was actually growing natives. They had a couple of teachers,
Mhm.
and of course they had a group of students, and they were growing natives and then selling them. But that's another group you could tech into.
Yeah,
But
that's
we could all
awesome.
talk about this later.
Yeah, y'all can definitely send me a list. I'd love to. I'm
This
starting
is-
to reach out to people. So
This is awesome.
Yeah.
This is so awesome to see.
I'm glad.
I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. And I did, just so y'all know, like a general kind of progress report is I did meet in person with the two ladies who we are working directly with at the NWF, and we made lots of progress. We are going to finalize an agreement hopefully by mid-July, so that way we have a definitive amount that they're going to be granting us and a finalized timeline as to like what exactly is going to be done in August, September, October, etc.
Yeah, because you're working with a national group,
Mhm.
and they've got their protocols and their schedules, and it's good to know how much you're getting.
Yeah, no,
too.
certainly.
It's good to know how much you're getting.
Yeah, better to ask for a little bit more and see what they're willing to stretch around for us. So Yeah.
And I'm sure you're well connected with the refuge.
Yes.
you know,
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
People there. Okay, that's good.
Yeah. They're fantastic.
They've got a nice nursery over there.
They do. Yeah. Well, awesome. Any more questions about
Any
this?
questions for Ms. Hannah? Gosh, that's amazing. I'm like so excited for you.
Yeah, I'm excited to see how it goes. Hopefully, fingers crossed, all goes well.
It'll be good. It'll be
Yes.
very good. Any questions for Ms. Hannah?
Congratulations.
Really, congratulations. Best wishes. So glad you're on board.
Yeah, well,
So
thank you.
glad
I
you're on board.
appreciate that.
So glad you're on
Um,
board.
I do have one more.
Sure.
Sorry.
Okay, yeah, data collection. This
Um,
is important.
So one more thing, and I did say the same thing last week, but when I tell people now that I'm an urban ecologist, it's a little bit less descriptive than my previous job title of garden nursery coordinator, right? So when they ask exactly what I do, it's one of two things for most cities. It's either programming, like with the night hikes, or almost exclusively data collection to present at meetings like this. So I want to find that balance, and I have been kind of establishing some standards and setting up some avenues to make sure that I start gathering that data. I remember you guys mentioning photo
Yes.
taking for grants.
Yes.
Yes, very big one. And one of the smaller things that I am doing is bird counts each week at the Pharr Vanguard Nature Academy, Pharr Vanguard Academy Nature and Birding Center. And the reason why this is important is because we are a migratory flyway for hundreds of bird species each year. This is our slow season, so I'm not seeing more than 25 species a week, but every time I go, I see something new. It's really cool, and down there in the corner is a picture of a groove-billed Ani that I saw. If anyone wants to go say hi to him, he hangs out near the restroom. So he's really cool. I took a photo of him through a pair of binoculars, so if you got cheap binoculars, you can take some cool photos. So that is something that I'm doing, and I'm also submitting this information on an app called eBird, developed by the Cornell University, to basically engage birders around the world, not just the US. So if I happen to find something exclusive and rare that really does feed into the local economy through ecotourism, people will come from distances away to see unique birds here. Something else that I'm also doing in that kind of same vein is collecting some native seed at the nature center to sort of disperse appropriately in other gardens. So something small, but there is some seed from native plants that's ready for collection. Next thing is I'm also working on a tree recount for our Tree City USA proclamation. So all of our park spaces and public buildings here, I've been sort of recounting the trees and also doing a risk assessment to determine where we should kind of keep our eye on in case we do have another hurricane or severe weather event, because that could pose a hazard to public health. In addition to that, there's also this really cool software that John Brush from the McAllen Nature Center, he is their urban ecologist. It's called iTree Canopy, and it's basically it's again another really nerdy thing, but super cool. I love numbers. But you tell this software, you define a boundary, sort of like on a Google map, and you start generating random data points within that boundary. So the city of Pharr is my boundary, and that software will say this point right here. And I tell the software, oh, that looks like a tree. And so you do that over and over again. You tell it what those randomized data points are, and it determines the economic value of your tree canopy coverage within an area is. So this is super
Wow.
cool. And after you get about 1,000 points of data, the margin of error is like 1.5% to 2%. So our trees do a lot of work for us, guys. So this is really good to know and have, and also really kind of feeds into our Tree City USA designation. So super important. And then finally, in addition to eBird, it's a really fun, user-friendly, free app for submitting bird species. There's iNaturalist. Lots of folks know about it, but a lot of people don't. You can use it to basically submit anything, a bug, a plant, a mushroom, a bird. And usually the algorithm in iNaturalist can identify what that is for you. Not always, but it'll kind of put you on the right track. So that's also something good to kind of have in your phone to learn about our local flora and fauna. So yeah, that's sort of what I've been doing if anyone has any questions about, I don't know, a weird fungus that they've seen or something like that, I'm here. Or a beetle, y'all can call Parks and Rec and ask for Hannah. So, yeah.
Hannah, you've been busy. That's all I can say.
Going to be
And you're going to continue to be busy.
And you've met Alan Williams.
Oh,
Yes, I have I think my second week here.
Yes,
Of course I did.
very good.
But yeah.
Anybody have any questions for Ms. Hannah? Congratulations.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Outstanding. I'm glad. I'm happy for you. You're on board. Wish you the best, and we're here to help.
Of course.
And I've jotted dates and apps.
Awesome.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
All right. Yeah, not a problem. Thank you guys.
Oh, wow. Okay, so we've had announcements from Development Services. We've had announcements from Parks and Recreation. And beings that we have no one here from Public Works today to fill us in on numbers, we're going to go ahead and move on to item 2E. Are there any board comments at this time?
I just want to say that we're extremely proud to have both of you young ladies on board with our city. We're looking forward to working with you, and we want you to know that if we can help in any one way, don't hesitate to call us. And again, welcome aboard.
Anybody else?
I have nothing.
Congratulations and welcome again, Hannah. And again, Kimberly, just so glad you're part of Team Pharr. And we're here to help. And we're anxiously awaiting, able to work together with you. So thank you. If there are no other board comments, we move on to, I guess, yes, I'm going to just end before I ask for an adjournment. I'm going to give you a summer solstice blessing. Today is the longest day of the year, after all. And if you hadn't figured out, that's been my theme from the prayer early on, from the invocation. A summer solstice blessing. It's the midsummer's evening, the shortest of night, where our planet is blessed with the greatest of light. The sun at its power, sharing its wealth with the earth glowing in abundance and health. The trees' leaves are green, the birds are in song. The days are as warm as they are long. We honor the animals, the plants, and living things, the sun and the water, and for the life that it brings. May you find well-being, and may you find peace in days after solstice as the light does decrease. May the blessings of the solstice be yours, I pray, and the light warm your heart and soul every day. With that, we move on to item 3, adjournment. Do I have a motion on the floor to adjourn this meeting?
Madam Chairman, I move that we adjourn this meeting.
Okay, Mr. Robles has a motion on the floor. Do I have a second?
You certainly do. I move that we
Okay,
second.
we've got a second from Mr. Carranza. All those in favor?
Aye.
Being that there's no opposition, this meeting is adjourned. Thank you, everyone. Drive safe and be well.